You can't think how glad I am to see you again, you dear old thing.
When the Duchess were talking about many things to Alice, suddenly the Queen came.
Just about as much right as pigs have to fly. And
The Duchess's voice died away, even in the middle of her favorite word, moral, and the arm that was linked into hers began to tremble. Alice looked up, and there stood the Queen in front of them, with her arms folded, frowning like a thunderstorm.
a fine day, your majesty.
Now I give you fair warning. Either you or your head must be off, and that in about half the time. Take your choice.
The Duchess took her choice, and was gone in a moment,
Let's go on with the game.
said the Queen to Alice, and Alice was too much frightened to say a word, but slowly followed her back to the croquet ground, so that by the end of half an hour or so there were no archers left. All players, except the King, the Queen, and Alice, were in the custody and under sentence of execution. And the Queen left off, quite out of breath, and said to Alice,
Have you seen the mock turtle yet?
No, I don't even know what mock turtle is. I never saw one or heard of one.
Come on then, and he shall tell you his history.
As they walked off together, Alice heard the King say in low voice to the company generally,
You were all pardoned.
Thank you, your majesty.
after meeting Griffon, they went to see Mock Turtle. They had not gone far before they saw Mock Turtle in the distance, sitting sad and lonely on a little ledge of rock. So they went up to the Mock Turtle, who looked at them with large eyes full of tears but said nothing.
This here young lady, she wants to know your history, she do.
I'll tell it her. Sit down, both of you, and don't speak a word till I have finished.
So they sat down, and nobody spoke for some minutes. Alice thought to herself,
I don't see how he can even finish if he doesn't begin.
Once, I was a real turtle. When we were little, we went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise.
Why did you call him Tortoise if he wasn't one?
We call him Tortoise because he taught us.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself for asking such a simple question.
To school in the sea, thought you may not believe it. We have the best education. In fact, we went to school every day.
That's enough about lesson.
the Griffon interrupted in a very decided tone.
Tell her something about games now.
The mock turtle sighed deeply and drew the back of one flapper across his eyes. He looked at Alice and tried to speak, but for a minute or two sobs choked his voice. At last, the mock turtle recovered his voice, and, with tears running down his cheeks, he went on again.
May not have lived much under the sea, and perhaps you were never even introduced to a lobster, so you have no idea what the delightful thing a lobster quadra is.
It must be a very pretty dance.
Would you like to see a little of it?
Very much indeed,
Come on, let's try the first figure.
said the mock turtle to the griffon.
Can do without lobsters, you know. Which one shall sing?
Oh, you sing. I have forgotten the words.
So they began solemnly dancing round and round Alice, every now and then treading on her toes when they passed too close, and waving their forepaws to mark the time, while the mock turtle sang this, very slowly and sadly. Thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch, and I do so like that curious song about waiting.
You've seen them, of course. If you see them so often, of course you'll know what they're like.
I believe so. They have big tails in their mouth, and they are all over crumbs.
Crumbs will all wash off in the sea, but they have their tails in their mouth. And the reason is
They would go with the lobsters to the dam, so they got thrown out to the sea. They had to fall a long way, and they got their tails in their mouths, so they could not get them out again. That's all.
Thank you. It's very interesting. I never knew so much about a waiting before.
come, let's see some of your adventure.
So Alice began telling them her adventures from the time when she first saw the white rabbit. She was a little nervous about it just at first. The two creatures got so close to her, one on each side, and opened their eyes and mouth so very wide, but she gained courage as she went on. Her listeners were perfectly quiet till she got to the part about her repeating, "You are old, Father William," to the caterpillar, and the words all coming different. And then the mock turtle drew a long breath and said,
That's very curious. I should like to hear her try and repeat something now. Tell her to begin.
Stand up and repeat. This is the voice of the sluggard.
However, she got up and began to repeat it, but her head was so full of the lobster quadrille that she hardly knew what she was saying, and the words came very queer indeed.
Is the use of repeating all that stuff if you don't explain it as you go on? It's by far the most confusing thing ever.
Yes, I think you better leave off. Shall we try another figure of lobster quadrille, or would you like the mock turtle to sing you a song?
A song, please. If the mock turtle will be so kind.
No accounting for taste. Sing her turtle soup. Will you, old fellow?
The mock turtle sighed deeply and began, in a voice sometimes choked with sobs, to sing.
Chorus again.
Cried the griffon, and the mock turtle had just begun to repeat it, when a cry of "The trial's beginning" was heard in the distance.
Come on!
Cried the griffon, and taking Alice by the hand, it hurried off, without waiting for the end of the song.
What trial is it?
Alice panted as she ran, but the griffon only answered,
Come on! Come on!
and ran the faster while more and more faintly came, carried on the breeze that followed them, the melancholy words,
Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup.